Welcome, beautiful friends. Welcome to Elemental Connections, where we're giving voice to the unseen realms of nature. And today we have Calista McGilvery with us. Welcome.
Hi, Layla. Nice to see you.
It's so lovely for you to be here. And Calista is an author, a almost published author with Hay House, which is really exciting. You're the founder of Angel Healing and Unicorn Healing. And is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Oh, I have many titles. I also have founded Atlantean Crystal Healing as well. But yeah, I do a lot of speaking. I do a lot of writing. The book with Hay House, Unicorn Rising, is going to be out next spring, hopefully, perhaps summertime. I also have 3 boys. And I'm a Kundalini teacher, so I do a lot of different things, but I mainly work with elementals and angels and the unicorns. That's my, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we've got you here today. So we were feeling that we were going to speak about unicorns today. That was my sense when we connected, and it feels perfect timing that you've just finished your book as well. And yeah, so shall we just kind of dive into that? And
let's go for it.
Great. I'd like to hear just a little bit of a background story, maybe about how you came to work with the elementals and the unicorns.
Okay. Well, it's a funny, very ebbing and flowing journey, because when I was really young, like so many people, I had a really good, strong connection with the elementals, and came from a family of spiritualists and mediums. So that was always there. The love of the land was always there, something that my gran, who pretty much raised me alongside my mum, really taught me to honor the land and have a communication with the land and the earth. And so I was often found chatting to fairies and speaking to crystals, as so many of us do. But then as I grew up, I went into academic science and did a can't speak today, a degree in medical biotechnology, and was a scientist for many years in cancer research, and did that all the way up until 2006, when I was at that crossroads that so many of us get to, whether I didn't know whether I wanted to start a family or do my PhD or do something else. And I remember sitting at my desk one day looking up evening classes, and a class in Reiki came up. And it really spoke to me, but I didn't know anything about Reiki. So I went along, and it was a 10-week course. Now you can do Reiki in like a day, but then it was very traditional, and we had to take our time with each level. And as I really got immersed into hands-on healing, I found like I came back home, and I found that my connection to nature, which really was always there, but it's just I felt like I could see again. And to cut a very long story short, I left science a few months later, and started up a holistic business doing Reiki, but also sharing other therapies. I learned to become a herbalist, and started making soaps. And I loved making my own skincare because it kind of brought my science background in, but it also brought in my love of aromatherapy. And I would bless and infuse the soaps and the products with Reiki. And from there, started to work with angels. And I thought, I wonder if I could invoke the angels and put their energy into the soaps. And back then, 2006, 2007, there was no companies doing this. So it was pretty novel. But ever the scientist, I just, experimented, and it worked. And customers could feel that, like the energy of Archangel Raphael, for example, in some of the soaps. And so from there, started to work with the fairies. I brought in their energy, the mermaids, goddess energy, had a big range. But the elemental I guess let's call the unicorns an elemental today, that I hadn't connected with was the unicorn. And so like my other interactions with the fairies and the mermaids, I knew I had to attune to them, just like receiving an attunement to Reiki. And so I sat down and I invoked the unicorns. I'd never consciously had a connection with them before, but two beautiful unicorns came forward, and I was so taken aback by it was so immediate. As I sat and I relaxed and I centered and I asked them to come forward, it was so immediate that they were there. And there was a big, huge Celtic male steed on one side, and he was called Hethgar. And there was another beautiful, she was more feminine vibration, unicorn on my other side. And she kind of hanged back. She was like holding the space, but it was more Hethgar, who was really, really apparent, very still apparent. And whenever he comes forward, like now, I feel myself get more expansive and more loud. And together they joined horns, and they created this beautiful rainbow, this rainbow frequency, which I now understand this is the frequency that they come in to physical reality in, just like an angel would come in on, say, the blue ray. Archangel Michael would come in the blue ray. The unicorns come in this beautiful diamond-like rainbow frequency. So they were bathing me in this to clear my body and to gently acclimatize my vibration to theirs. And so we had this beautiful attunement. And from there, this love affair continued. And now it's been, 10 years. 10 years it's been since working with them. So that's really how it began. And from the soaps, I went into this competition to win a holistic business, and I won it, thanks to the unicorns, who really, really helped me to win this holistic center. And from there, began to teach people about the unicorns. And that's when unicorn healing, the system, first began. Now it's evolved over the years, and now it's taught as an online system. But that's really how it got started, just from meeting them.
Wow. It kind of sounds so simple, and yet just profound, and has taken you on an amazing journey.
It really is simple. Back then I thought to myself, how can I attune myself to a fairy or an angel? Surely I need a teacher. But Archangel Raphael has always been a very prominent guide for me. And he said, look at Dr. Yusui, who attuned himself to Reiki. He did so through having a moment of enlightenment. That's Satori. That's what he received from Source. So why not? Surely it's possible to receive in the same way. You just need to open up, have that purity, purity of heart. That genuine request, and they will honor that, and they will come forward, and they did. And I'm so grateful. And so now a big part of my sharing into the world is attunements, is to help people really to see that they can attune themselves. But if they don't believe that, or they have some doubts, I just hold the space for them to receive an attunement. So over the years, I've had the privilege of sharing many, many different unicorn attunements, and everyone is different. And sometimes they will have fairies come in, or since 2015, the dragons come in, and the Pegasians, right about the end of 2015, and now very much so, they're here. And so it's wonderful just to sit and witness how all these beings who have always been here since the dawn of creation are now coming forward ever more as we open our eyes a bit more.
They really are becoming so present now. I'm amazed at how many people are opening to these energies. I mean, as well with the unicorn, you just need to look at in the high street shops as well. I mean, even though it's kind of turned quite kind of cartoony and a bit of it's what's the word?
It's like sugared, isn't it?
It's very sugared, yet it's there, isn't it? It's seeping through into our awareness. The same with the fairies, the same with all of the elemental beings, I think. But especially the unicorns, it's lots of people are connecting with that energy, even if it's on this slightly subconscious kind of, like it's,
it feels a little bit superficial.
Superficial is the word
But
I'm looking for.
yeah. I think I really believe that they are an emblem for our times.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a symbol, and I feel that we're edging away from religion now.
Yeah.
I don't believe that religion, maybe to some, and I honor that, but I think for a long time, religion was that touchstone to help us to go inward, to help us to see who we are, to connect us back to source. But now I really feel it's synchronicity and symbols and signs. And you only, like you say, you have to just go down the high street or on the internet and you see like unicorn clothing everywhere and unicorn like hair care, and it's everywhere, and it's not just in the UK. My friends in the States tell me that there's like a unicorn wave sweeping over the States as well. So it's wonderful, and I think that they have chosen the form that they have. So this beautiful horse-like being, horse-like form, because it's very grounded and it's something that we can relate to. It's very earthly. And then to reflect our divinity, they have that beautiful luminous presence that we can feel or we can sense when we're in their midst. And also this beautiful enlightened horn, the enlightenment. So they're bridges. I always think that the unicorns are bridges. They're bridging beings to help us to bridge heaven and earth, but more importantly, to take heaven through earth. So to bring heaven through our body, because I think for so long, because we've looked at religion, we have nullified humanity. We've been trying to reach for divinity all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the unicorns say, oh my word, respect your humanness as much as your divinity, because you need both. You need both to ascend. Otherwise, you'll just split yourself. You'll split your energy.
Beautiful. So where do you feel that where do they come from? Do you have a sense of where they reside? And also something else you said then about that they've chosen this form, so that suggests to me that this is a representation that they're showing us, something that we can relate to, that's not necessarily what or who they are.
I think when we look to angels, when we look to unicorns, beings who are of such a finer vibration. I don't like to say higher vibration because that gives our mind this sense that they're better than us, but this finer, lighter, more ethereal vibration. They don't have a physical form, but they can choose to have a physical form, especially when they come for earthly matters and to help humanity. They will manifest as a form. But when I started to work with them, I had so many questions. Coming from a science background, I wanted to know everything. And so I put lots of questions to Hethgar. And he says that the majority of unicorns reside from a star that surrounds Sirius. And lots of beings, namely the birds.
Oh, that's so funny. A bird just flew in front of my window. You said that then.
I love it. Nice confirmation, you see. The birds, we would say, are purely physical as we see them, but they are so high vibrational, and they herald in messages from Sirius. Sirius is almost like the first port of call for ascension news, and then it gets filtered down, and the birds often bring those messages in. So the birds, they work alongside the unicorns because they both come from Sirius, from that star, from that cosmic origin. But there's many different types of unicorns. There's not just the beautiful big white steed. There's so many different types, and so people can perceive them as different colors, as having different colored horns, different manes, Some unicorns are connected to the elemental realm. Now, that tends to be the unicorns that I work with the most. Those of Celtic ancestry and those of the elemental realm. So connected to the she, connected to the fae. Um, but then you also get unicorns connected with the angels, the angelic kingdom. And a lot of authors they say that the unicorns reside from the angelic realms. In my opinion, they don't. Only some types do, but not all of them. And then you get some unicorns that reside from inner earth as well. So they're not just purely celestial beings. They come from many different streams of consciousness. And as a human being, we're not going to work with all different types of unicorns. But we all do have a guide. We all do have a guide.
A unicorn guide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt that like for myself. We were talking before we began, just like they come to me, but I haven't interacted in the way that you have, but I feel like if I tune into that energy, then I can feel one with me and
Yes.
feel its energy. Yeah. So what do you think, do you feel they have, is there like a main message that message or energy that they're bringing humanity at this time?
Yeah. So we're so lucky, aren't we? We're so lucky that we have all these beautiful non-physical beings, and they all have a main central theme, if you like, but then they can help us with different things. So the main central theme for the unicorns is to help us to know our soul. So that divine aspect that's within us, not our spirit, not the emulation of our soul in an animated form, but our soul, our very true essence, that spark that's connected to source. They want us to know that, but not only just recognize that, but to exemplify it, to personify it through our physical body in our day to day. And because they reflect our soul, they are here to help us to recognize our path and our power, soul power, to embody ourselves, and also our purpose as well. So that is their main theme, their main support that they can help us with. And they really give us the courage to be ourselves, to not be anyone else, to fit anyone else's standards, to really be ourselves and to stand in that uniqueness. Because let's face it, they are very unique beings. There's not another being that looks like a unicorn. They stand out. And they want us to stand out as well, not in an arrogant sense, but just in a wholly. They often say to be your noble self, to be your dignified self, and to really carry that grace. And when, for example, if somebody joins the unicorn healing program or works with the unicorns, they will invariably start to attune to virtues that the unicorns carry, such as grace, such as a vaster way of seeing life, like a vaster perspective, hence why they have this illuminated third eye. And you can compare that against to an angel. So an angel is more about the heart, it's more about love, love for all, compassion for all, forgiveness, lifting yourself higher, which is wonderful. And that's why the unicorns do often work with the angels. But the unicorns are more soul coaches. They're motivators, they're inspirers. They want us to stand up, be seen, stand tall, not edit ourselves in any way. And just be here, live our humanity, live that divinity as well, and try and do that. I know that's a lot, but try and do that in balance.
That's so beautiful, and it's so needed right now, isn't it, that we really all come here and be who we truly are. In order for, that's the way I see it, is once we're already living who we truly are, then so much shifts and changes when we have the courage to speak out. So that's so wonderful to hear that we can work with them or call them in to support us in that. So could you Is there something that we could individually do if we want to attune to them so that we can call them into our lives to support us with that?
Yeah, I think that the best way to work with them is to follow like 4 steps. This is the 4 essential steps, I call it, and I'm sure you do this anyway, and I'm sure a lot of people do it who are watching. But sometimes we forget these steps because we're so excited to meet a new guide, or but these steps are breathing. So literally just breathing, feeling the breath, connecting to your body, and then taking a moment to ground. And not just to, for example, imagine roots going down into the earth, but imagine, because sometimes people imagine roots coming down from the soul. I love the way the unicorns do it. They ask us to imagine roots coming out from each of our toes and from
Mm.
the sides of our feet as well. And if this is the earth, imagine that we're wrapping ourselves around the earth.
Oh, lovely. I've been bringing that in
Have
recently.
you? Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. I often see it like a dragon holding its crystal. You know how you often
Mm.
see that in its claw. Um, so really grounding down and connecting to the heart of Mother Earth. And once you've breathed and you've grounded, then come into your heart and center. And just take a few moments to connect with your soul, that truest aspect of you, that vaster aspect of you. And then lastly, the fourth step is connection. So when you're connecting, and you can, again, like you brought yourself down into the center of the earth, you can bring yourself up to the center of the sun, if you like, if that is your representation of the divine masculine, because it's really important to have that balance of feminine and masculine.
Mm.
Um, and as you connect to your masculine, you're connected to source, you're connecting to your spirit team. And then you bring in the unicorns and you just ask them to be present. And again, you don't need a prayer or invocation, just simply that genuine request to ask for your main unicorn guide to come forward. And then just be silent and receptive to what happens, not trying to force the experience, but just really being open to what uh, flows. And you can also ask your unicorns to come into your dreams as well, because then it's so much easier to connect with your guides in your dreams, because we're not in the mind, we're not in the questions, we're not in the any judgment as well. We're just enjoying the experience. So that would be my starting ways to connect with them.
Beautiful. And would you use that way then with everything? Like
I
all the
do.
beings that you want to
I
connect?
literally, I do,
Yeah.
and any time I go out and meditate in nature, I will always follow those 4 steps. Again, it's so simple, and a lot of
Yeah.
what I share is super simple.
So, yeah.
It's just we forget these things. Um, Sometimes we forget to root down, and then we'll pick up lots of energies. Sometimes we're not centered, and then we're way in the ego as we talk to them, thinking, "What can I gain?" As a
So,
very much like a utilitarian. I can't speak today, I apologize. So feeling this cold. Um, but really, when we connect with the unicorns, as everything, I think you've shared this before with other people, it has to be a partnership. It
mm,
has to be, um, we have to be able to say to the unicorn, what would you like me to contribute for
mm.
you, for your evolution? Because they have their own evolution as well.
Is there evolution tied in with humanity? Oh, bless you.
I know. Just to say to the viewers, I just came back from Iceland and it was very cold and I picked up the flu. Um, but as ever, the flu, as the unicorns would say, is just a clearing. It's just your body clearing. And so you just don't take any notice of it.
That's
um,
great.
so, sorry, what was your question again?
What was my question? Oh, you said what my question was around. Oh, their evolution. You spoke about the unicorn's evolution, and I just wondered if their evolution is tied in with ours in a way,
It's
which is why they come here. Like there's a two-way.
They are here more for the planet. They're here more for
Mm,
Gaia to help
okay.
her ascend.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're here more for her. Uh, but of course, we are tied to her, and so they
Yeah.
help us. So they're not here all the time. For example, this cold, I could ask them for healing, but they will say to me, "You can help yourself also."
Ah,
They're not
nice.
always like we have guidance angels and guardian angels. They're always on hand because they're here. They're petitioned from source to help specifically humanity. Whereas the unicorns are more tied to earthly matters and galactic matters. Sounds very sci-fi here, but their focus lies more on creation itself and the evolution and expansion of creation, and how that's so yeah, their focus is on that, and that's really to do with the vibration that they exist within. So their vibration, like I said before, is finer. It's not it's not physical focused. We're here to have this physical experience. Um, they're here to help our soul to be known and to be lived through our physical body.
Mm, beautiful.
They're so around you. I can feel this I know you can probably sense a male. I'm getting that, but there's a female right beside you, and she's really beautiful. And
Oh.
so I want to share about that because so when we first make that conscious connection with our unicorns, they will feel very familiar
Mm,
because they represent our soul. They represent our soul. And so often we can have one main guide, but their energy can come forward as a male and a female to help us to balance our polarities, to help us to balance the divine masculine and also the divine feminine within us. So it's so intelligent how they can do that. Um, and I believe this is why people often uh, have this concept of twin flames.
mm,
It's really just one energy, but it's expressing two sides of its vibration to help us balance. For example, Hethgar is my main guide, but he's really the same as my female. I call her princess because she's like a princess. Um, they're really one and the same, but it's more the masculine that I need to personally balance within my life. So that's why he's there. But for you, all I see is the feminine. All I see is this beautiful female unicorn beside you.
mm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that.
No, no, it's okay.
And that's really interesting what you were saying about the way that the same energy splits in two for us to get a more direct experience of that one polarity. It's really interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that piece.
Yeah, you're okay. That's fine. Um, I often find that the spirit guides that we have in a given life, for example, most of my spirit guides are male, and that's just because I need to heal uh, the masculine energy within myself and trust it as well.
Mm, yeah.
But that's attributed to lots of different stories, which we don't need to go into today. Um, but for example, if somebody's watching this and they have a lot of female guides, well, it's obviously the female, the feminine energy that they are working to integrate more and to express more in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. So like my mind's a bit like, oh, why is she here? For me now. Like because I feel very much for me there's the energy of like working to bring through that divine feminine energy.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say about that? Oh my gosh, I think we were both a bit off today, aren't we?
I think we're in the unicorn realm. It's quite funny. Half the ground, half the ground.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but this is classic because this is what happens when you work with unicorn energy. It's so very expansive, and on the surface, it looks very fluffy and sugared and pink, for
Yeah.
want of a better word. But they're powerful. They are powerful luminaries. They're master luminaries, and they help us to embrace our own light as well.
Yeah.
And they also help us to break the boundaries, the mental boundaries that we create in our mind. because we can't touch this divine wisdom with a physical stick. We have to just be open and be more of an explorer, and just, so if our conversation goes into like tangents, that's absolutely fine, because it's still that consciousness that we're working with,
Yeah.
and they're helping to open those doors.
Yeah. This is what I think, this was one of the reasons that I wanted to do this series of interviews, was to bring through this depth of wisdom and support that's here through these elemental realms. Because like you say, again, if we look out in the realms of everyday life, these things do look very sugar coated, you know, sweet little fairies and sweet little unicorns and fierce dragons, you know, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, and that, yeah, I just wanted to support people to experience that deeper wisdom and support that's there for us. So I'm really pleased that you share that.
And you're doing a great job,
Oh, thank
because your
you.
series is absolutely amazing, and I really feel that it's helping a lot of people to burst those bubbles, to burst that spiritualized bubble. Like a fairy is this, you do get little beautiful
Sure.
flower fairies, but you also get extremely fierce looking fairies, and big slanty eyes, very dark. um I did a Native American vision quest where I was out in the wilderness for 4 days, 4 nights and 5 days, with no food and no tent, just in the raw Cairngorm Scottish landscape, filled. You had a big orb that just went past you, filled with fairies, filled with elementals, and for me, that was like a school. That
Mm.
that taught me all about the elementals, even though I've been working with them for years. Really, like how many different types they are, um, that they're not these, yeah, that they're just not what we perceive them to be in fairy tales. They're so much more. They're still light, don't get me wrong, but yeah, there's hidden depths
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Mm, beautiful.
And it's the same with the unicorns, Layla, because they're not just white. You could get unicorns that take a form of a black body and a brown body. And I remember some students in the early years asking me, is this sinister? Is this negative?
Mm.
Because they read books, perhaps angel books, that said, if you see an angel as black, run away, or ask Archangel Michael to come in, things like that. But that, again, that's just a fear trapping, because often these unicorns come forward to help us to integrate our shadows. And
Yeah.
so they're manifesting a form that reflects their purpose, that reflects the role that they're helping us to with. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, so they're really embodying the frequencies that we need to integrate ourselves.
Yeah, plus a lot of the Celtic unicorns, a lot of the elemental unicorns, uh, can change like that. They're shapeshifters in that
Mm.
way. Um,
So you could be working with one unicorn, but it represent itself in different ways to
it
support
can,
you to,
it can.
yeah, yeah.
Not all types could do that, but yeah, it depends. And the type of unicorn that you'll have as your guide will reflect your purpose here.
Mm.
So whatever your soul chose to experience in this given life will be matched then with your guides, not just your unicorns, but with your other guides as well. For example, your soul perhaps came down here to be a bridge for the elemental kingdom and to share their wisdom as you yourself learn more about it and awaken more. And so
Mm.
that's why you have so many elemental guides.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, I feel that with this series of interviews, it's like I'm learning, you know, like I'm doing this for me as well as sharing that as well.
Yeah,
And so do you see all the guides working together? Like, do the guides work together?
I believe they do. Um, when I was writing the book, I there was sometimes I was just channeling, And then I would read it back and go, that's really interesting. And there was a passage in the book that said every person has at least 11 guides,
Mm.
11 spiritual guides. Now we can have more, of course, depending on what we're doing in our life, where we are in our path. Um, but we normally have 11 guides, and these guides do tend to work together, especially elemental guides. Unicorns tend to work with fairies. I've done so many achievements where we're sitting there and fairies have came in and we'll just start bursting out of laughter as their frequency comes in. But yet they do help. They do. There's this beautiful cooperation.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think most of the time we're not even aware of it. We're not aware of the cooperation, the support that's going on in the ethers just for us.
Mm.
Um, and
Wow,
so
just think if we really were aware of that, how our experience, and when I say our, I mean like as humanity would change being here on Earth. If we knew if we knew and we could feel that support, I think
there would be so much more grace being lived.
wouldn't
Great,
there?
yeah, and appreciation and cooperation and unity, everything that the new
Mm.
earth stands for and everything
Mm.
that the unicorns are helping us to create. They believe in the new earth.
Mm.
They believe that the golden age is now,
Mm-hmm.
not some perceived date in the future. It's literally now, and it has been now for awakened souls. There are awakened souls out there, enlightened souls living amongst us who have carried the frequencies of the new earth for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But more and more people are now waking up, and as everybody does, they awaken to their guides, and then more light can come in, and more remembrance can be enjoyed, and so that's how we are ascending. And but I believe we're all ascending. No one's going to be left behind. No matter what path people have chosen, we're all going the same way, I believe. Do you believe that?
I do, yeah. It's interesting as well. I often wonder about, so in the golden age for you, is there less polarity?
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because,
I've really been thinking about that recently.
yeah,
Yeah.
my perspective is that let's talk about it from a unicorn perspective because I could put my personal view on it, but
Yeah.
let's just do unicorn. So this is the seventh golden age, the unicorns tell us, and every golden age that Mother Earth has seen, the unicorns will come in because they are ascension pioneers. They want us to ascend, and they hold the keys for us to ascend, or they say you have the keys, here they are, they just reflect that. But every golden age they have been here, and so that's why they're here in droves. And every golden age carries a different theme and a different message, a different wisdom that we can embody. And right now this golden age is about consciousness, awareness, and that unity of cooperation, of working together. And so is there polarity in that? I believe there has to be. I believe there has to still be polarity and duality and the good and bad still within that. Maybe more at a subtle level as people ascend, because we still need that contrast. We still need the shadows, and the shadows are still the light. The shadows are still source at the end of the day. I just believe what happens is a shift of perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was feeling. Our relationship to everything is different. And so the shadow and that polarity doesn't have the same charge as it might do now within
Yeah,
our own
yeah.
awareness and consciousness.
It's like we go from feeling weighted by it and entangled or like a victim, and moving towards a place where we appreciate and we value and we are compassionate to that aspect of us,
Mm.
knowing that the more that we are compassionate and the more that we're welcoming um, wherever duality is manifesting in our life, so too we're rising more.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I feel that.
It's happening.
Oh, Definitely, definitely. I really feel that. And it's really interesting because I can really dance and go back into the sort of the fear and the, like, every now and again I drop back in and I journey in there for a while, and then I'm reminded and I'm brought back, and then the light feels even lighter, you know? I don't know why I'm sharing that.
No, yeah, yeah, no, it does. It does. I feel that. I feel that. And because we're in an age of ascension, and because it is the age of awareness, what we felt, for example, 5 years ago, say we're in a fearful situation, we experienced, say, that charge of fear. I love that word that you said, charge. See, we experienced that charge of fear 5 years ago. If it was exactly the same situation now, we would experience it. It would be so much more intense, just because that's reflecting our sensitivity, which is always, raising and expanding as well. So it's like Dickens said, it's like the best of times and the worst of times when we ascend, because we feel so much more. We feel those deep, deep lows, but we feel and appreciate the highs as well. The mastery lies in appreciating both highs and lows, and valuing that it's all just part of this process. It's part of the life experience that we need to get on board with. And the more we come into that acceptance, the more we feel this circle of unseen love and wisdom that's always there. And we can just lean into that
Mm.
in times of fear and in times of challenge. And the more that we lean in, it's shorter and shorter, and it's, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, those lows become much shorter than they were 5 years ago, for example, if we're leading into spirit.
Yeah, yeah, beautifully said. Oh, it feels like such a rich conversation. So before we finish, is there anything else that feels like it wants to come through? Any
Okay.
message or?
Okay, so this has been coming up quite a lot when I've been talking to people about unicorns. And have you ever heard of the word sadhana?
I don't know what it means.
Sadhana. It means spiritual daily practice.
Ah.
So everybody, I'm sure, has something that they do every day. Maybe it's not consecutive, but the unicorns are all for having a consecutive daily practice, whether it's a meditation that you do in the morning, or whether it's a daily walk in nature, or a daily time at your altar, or time where you sit and appreciate your blessings, but something that you do every day, something that's consistent. They really are hammering home this message of a consistent practice, because we give so much focus to technology, to social media, to other areas of our life, but we really need to employ a form of spiritual fitness as well
Mm-hmm.
to see us through these times. Because, as I said, it is the highs and it is the lows. We're experiencing so much intensity that we need something to fall back on. And in times of trouble, in times of challenge, when you have a consistent sadhana, you can lean into it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It sees you through.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever is whatever makes your heart sing, whether it's daily yoga or daily putting on your favorite like music and just dancing and inviting your unicorn guides to be with you, or if it's meditating, just something like that. Employ that every day. Try to have a consistent practice. And I'm not saying to you, Layla, I'm saying to everybody. I'm also saying to myself. I have young children, so it can be difficult sometimes to get up early in the morning. Um, but the morning is the best time, especially before dawn, because the angle of the sun to the earth um, really gives us a better meditation. And the ego, that doubting part of the mind, is mostly asleep, because the rest of the world is asleep before dawn normally. And so it's really easy to connect with our soul and our
That's
spirit team.
that's really interesting. Ellen Thompkins, who I interviewed as well, she connects with the Elven energy, and she also shared about connecting with the dawn energy as well.
Did
And
she?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm not very good at getting up that early. I saw your wonderful images on Instagram this morning of the frost and the beautiful colours that are available that time in the morning.
It's just incredible. Yeah, if people actually want to catch that, it's on Instagram. So daily I share something called Mother Earth News, which is just a 1 minute clip because that's all Instagram allows. But I think that's enough.
I like it.
And yeah, it's something I've been doing actually for a year. I started it last November, and just tuning into nature, what she wants to say. Sometimes it's working with the elementals. Sometimes it's just stillness. Like this morning, it was just stillness. Be receptive to what comes forward.
Which is what you were saying about that the daily practice. Even if it's dance or something, it's just
Yeah,
it's still stillness, isn't it? It's still coming into
it is.
like, yeah, just deep connection with yourself.
And I think there's this misguided notion that meditation has to be sitting straight with, your spine straight and very disciplined and very stoic. But really, a meditation could be a dance. It could be singing mantras. It could be, you make the most beautiful nature mandalas on Instagram. I love your nature mandala. That's meditation. That's
Yeah,
keeping just just recognizing your spirit more and living it,
yeah,
not just now and again, but really
bring
making
it daily. Yeah,
everyday devotion.
yeah. I notice for myself when I don't maintain that, then I kind of spiral off a little bit. I become out there. I become very out there rather than inward. So I really like that they're sharing
Yeah,
that advice. That's something I would definitely recommend to people. Absolutely. And then we begin to attune more to our soul, don't we? Which is what you were saying. The unicorns are here to bring us through. We need that time
we
to
do.
attune. Otherwise, we'll never feel it. It's like wanting something but not giving time or space for it to anchor within ourselves, and we have to have that experience of it if we want to then bring it through and live it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
the more that we do it, for example, if you had a consecutive practice, say for 30 days, it starts to become an automatic muscle memory. It starts to become a habit.
Totally.
Excuse me. And just like brushing your teeth every day,
Yeah.
we just do that. We just, before we go to bed, it's just part of brushing my teeth. It's just accepted. And so it is good to have a sadhana at a consistent time every day, because then that helps your nervous system to go, okay, this is where we are. And the more that you do that, the easier the meditation becomes, the easier it is to tune into spirit, because you're there already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree.
I have a funny feeling they're going to talk about this message for probably years to come, because it's such an important one to have a daily practice.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. I can't believe like nearly an hour has
I
passed.
know, that's amazing.
I hope everyone has enjoyed it and heard us through our diversions and my cold.
Yeah, on my foggy head. Oh, so grateful for you being here. And so people can find you on Instagram and Facebook, and you have a YouTube channel as well that's got lots of content.
I do. I have lots of videos on there. My favorite space to share, I must admit, is Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can catch daily Mother Earth news. My website should be up and running next week, so that's calistaascension.com. There's lots of freebies and lots of elemental articles and things on there.
Beautiful. And your book is going to be out in...
I am hoping they're hoping it's going to be out for midsummer next year, and that's from Hay House. But there will be pre-sales hopefully going out from January.
Oh, I can't wait.
We might get it out earlier. I think they're keen to get it out because they believe that we're in a unicorn wave, which of course we are.
Yeah. Oh, I got
We know that.
goosebumps.
We
Yeah,
know
my goosebumps. They were going up my legs there when you said that. Like a wave.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, thank you so much, Calista, for being here with us today. It's so beautiful. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody who has taken the time to listen and receive this beautiful, the wisdom. And I really feel actually throughout it, I could feel this sort of attunement happening. So I'm sure there's lots of yumminess happening on multiple layers. So thank you so much. And if you've enjoyed this video, please share it or like, and I will be with you again soon. So much love.